Hi, my name is Sunny and welcome to my channel. Today guys, I have a special treat for you. I have a fellow YouTuber called Melanie from Chicago and her channel is Pardesi or Pardesi as she likes to call it. It's an in-joke which you'll find out about. Melanie watches Indian films from the Hindi movie cinema to the South Indian cinema, and she's a bit of an expert. So when the two of us got together at her invitation to do a YouTube video slash podcast, we could not stop talking. So part one is already on her channel, which I've left a link down below in the descriptions. Please make sure to check it out and like, share, subscribe to her channel as well as mine. So let's see how much fun we got up to. Hi, I'm Sunny and welcome to the channel, Sunny Starlight. And today I've got a very special guest, Melanie from the Pardesi channel. Hi, Melanie.
Hi, thank you so much, Sunny, for letting me come on your channel, which I'm really enjoying. So I'm so glad you've moved from just watching other people to creating your own channel and contributing to all of this Bollywood world, the Indian cinema world.
Thank you very much. I mean, Melanie and I go back because I've seen her sort of appearing on the Bollywood's channel, and then she started her own channel. So I've kind of got to know Melanie. But the reason I started my own channel is because I used to contribute a lot because of my vast knowledge of Hindi cinema to a lot of other channels. And suddenly people kept saying to me, especially friends and family, saying, well, why don't you just do your own channel? Because you're so, you've got a mind full of useless information. So I said, okay, well, why not? Yeah, so I'll give it a go. And here I am. So I'm doing that. And for me, I think I'm trying to bridge that gap between East and West, and who better to do it, because I'm an Indian by origin, and yet I've lived in the West all my life. But I've grown up with a diet of Hindi films, watching at least one film a week since I was a child. And so I can help bridge that gap. People like yourself, I can sort of give information so you don't have 30, 40 years worth of Hindi cinema to catch up on.
Right.
And I can do that vice versa. So I can also talk to Indian people and give them some knowledge from days of old, or, how things are related. So, in a way, I'm kind of bridging that gap, if you like.
Right.
And I thought I'm in the best position to do that. So
Yes,
what do you think?
definitely. Well, I can tell you, I'm very excited that Sunny has his own channel now because he has such a wealth and depth of knowledge about Indian cinema, especially in Bollywood. Like, my mind boggles. So whenever we've
Oh,
had a chat, it's been amazing. So, and I'm going to get to pick his brain about Kedarnath today because we were both, he told me the new trailer was out. So I posted my trailer reaction, but the only one that I could find had no subtitles. Now, the teaser trailer had no words, and I was kind of guessing what it was about, but and then some of my subscribers said, well, it's based on a real disaster that happened. And they were kind of angry that there's a love story, but I'm thinking to myself, okay, there's usually a love story in Hollywood disaster movies. Like, that's not that unusual. But um, this is Sarah Ali Khan's very first debut film. She's got Simba coming out later in the month, but this is her debut. And even from the teaser, I was like, this girl has got it. She's just has this screen presence. And then, even though I didn't understand a word that she said, even more so in the trailer, because she just had this attitude and presence. And here's Sushant, who's been in the business for how many years. And granted, he's playing kind of this shy kid, but it was just, I was like, I was really taken with her. I can't wait to see this movie. So, what did you think of Sarah Ali Khan in the trailer? Were you also thinking, like I am, that she's got it? She's got the gene. She's got the heritage from her parents or from her grandmother. It's amazing to me that this young girl can have all of that.
well, my feelings were exactly the same as yours, because I did the initial teaser reaction, and as soon as I saw her, I felt like she just had this screen presence, that immense charisma, and the fact that there was no dialogue.
Yeah.
Um, I could see that she was emoting quite well, and I just thought, oh, this is a superstar in the making. But I still had a little bit of a reservation because I thought, let me just hear her speak some dialogue and see how she actually interacts with her co-stars. And then the full trailer came out a couple of days ago, and whoa! I mean, I was just blown away because
Yeah.
this girl is an absolute natural. Believe you me, because um, I'll go on a little bit about her in a
Yeah.
minute. But what I'd read about her was that she was always a very extrovert as a child, and she used to do little skits and show off, and do plays and dances and things like that. And but she was very overweight at the time when she was in her teens, as we
Yeah.
saw in Coffee with Karan. If you
Yeah.
saw that
Yeah.
episode, so Karen actually showed the homemade video of her play acting with her brother, and she was actually quite overweight. And Saif actually said, I've gone beyond the point that I cannot call you fat anymore.
Yeah.
And it wasn't anything mean or malicious, but it was just a father's concern at that time. And she was absolutely overweight. And I don't know whether it was overcompensating or that just gave her the confidence to go out there and just be herself. But, whatever it was, it actually just, it's made her, I think. And she's had this amazing transformation as a young lady now. So
Yeah,
when I saw that,
that coffee with Karan, the home video, you could just see her face. She was literally like looking through her fingers, like I
yes.
can't watch this.
Well, no,
Um,
she wasn't. She was actually quite proud because she said she was out there and she was actually enjoying it. So she wasn't ashamed as such.
yeah.
She liked showing off, so she was a bit of a show off.
I mean, it did seem like she mentioned POCD, which made me run to
Yeah.
Google. So it's like poly ovarian cyst something, so she did have
Yes.
some sort of, she
Medical
said
issues.
yeah, medical issues, hormone imbalance or something.
Yeah.
But wow, what a transformation she's gone through.
Oh wow. Yeah.
From those home videos that Karen, I mean, I felt bad for her. Here's Karen pulling out her, if every teenager had her first debut on TV to pull out the home videos of the first YouTube video you made when you were 16 years old.
But
Nightmare.
that's what I found really fascinating, that she wasn't embarrassed in the slightest because she accepted the badge and she wore it proudly. Any other actress would have just sort of shriveled up in the couch and said, "Oh no, how could you do this to me?" But she owned it and she was
Yeah.
quite proud of it, even when she watched it. So I think, I don't know where that confidence comes from, but she really has got it in abundance, I think.
Yeah,
Uh,
and her
and
character in Kedarnath seems to be the same kind of
oh
confident, bold kind of woman. So that's what
yes,
I love about it. I love a character, a girl character with spunk, and so I'm looking forward to seeing this. And Sushant was all kind of shy and little secret
yeah.
smiles, and I loved
Well,
it.
I mean, with Sarah in the trailer itself, which I saw recently, it seems that she's doing all the pursuing and
Yeah,
making all the chasing and the moves, and Sushant is just a kind of an introvert, very shy character, or he's keeping his distance. But in the latest song that I did today, the reaction, we see a lot more, and the song is actually called Kafi, which
so what?
basically means it means unbeliever. So the lyrics,
Unbeliever. Okay.
it kind of means the flow of the song is, I'm an unbeliever in love. I couldn't believe that it could happen, but it
Okay.
has happened. So it's that kind of essence to that song, and it was absolutely beautiful. If you heard it, I mean, it
Yes.
was melodic. It's sung by Arijit Singh, who is a brilliant singer. He's a modern day, lovely singer,
Yeah.
who hasn't had many songs out recently. So I was quite pleasantly surprised, as
Oh,
were
I felt
many
like
people on
I've been
Twitter.
feeling like for a while every song is Arjit Singh. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
there
I
was
mean,
a period of time. Yeah.
I couldn't identify the female part of it
Mm-mm.
because they didn't have it in the title, but I certainly recognized Arijit as soon as he opened his mouth, and I
Yeah.
just thought, this is just, and I was carried away. And then the visuals, oh my
I
God, they were
know. I
just
know the
so breathtaking.
scenery.
and it just popped the whole song. So the whole thing just made it come alive. And I thought, how beautiful. I described it in my video as somewhere in between heaven and earth. And the reason I say that is because Kedarnath is actually on the foothills of the Himalayas. So it is almost halfway between heaven and earth. And from the scenery that you see,
Yeah.
you've actually got the earth, which is lush and green in the valleys, the rivers, and then you've got the snow-peaked mountains, and the clouds above, which is almost heaven. So it's an absolutely beautiful sort of cinematography, and the location is just amazing.
Yeah.
So this song just really popped out. And then the biggest thing to pop out for me was Sara Ali Khan, because this song actually told a little love story between them, how they actually sort of interact. I don't think it actually follows linear events. I think they've just edited the best parts and put that in the song.
But
because
I mean, I like the little pursuit she used with the chai.
Chai, exactly.
So do you think there was like he hands like her a cup and then he has a cup? And then she quickly dumps hers and wants to share. And he's like, all right, fine, you can have mine. And then he won't take it back. And then later, they do share a cup. And he has that little shy smile again. Like, like she wanted the cup that I drank out of, you know, and he was enjoying it. So is there some further significance or just...
Yes, there is. So in Indian courtship, if a boy and a girl sort of like each other kind of thing, if they drink each other's drink out of the same cup, because we don't usually tend to, I think Indians sort of, and most cultures sort of say, don't touch anybody's food or drink because it's just not hygienic or whatever. But in order to, if young lovers sort of drink something, put it down on a table and walk away, and then they see the person of their interest taking a sip, then that's almost like confirming, yes, we like each other. I don't know if the listeners, the audience will actually remember, but there was a similar scene in Tal with Aishwarya Rai and Akshay Khanna, where they share a straw in a Coke bottle or a Pepsi bottle. So Aishwarya takes a sip, and Akshay takes a sip, and he offers it to her, but she says no, very shy. And then he puts it on the table, walks away, and she picks it up, and she starts drinking from it, and he quickly nips out, and he catches her drinking it. So it's a kind of a courtship play that most Indians kind of do. So yeah, that was the significance of that tea drinking. And I just found that so lovely and so warm. And Sarah was the real sort of go-getter in that, because she instigated the whole thing. So the first time he refused because he was shy, he was trying to keep his distance, and then the next time she just passed it over, and he took it very, quietly, and kind of confirmed that, yes, I like you too.
Well, I also love the what you telling me the name of that song. It has so many meanings. If she's sort of going on a pilgrimage to this temple, and maybe she's also like a skeptic, or I don't know. I mean, you could imagine that she was, because her introduction in the trailer, this made me laugh so much, is you see her praying devoutly, and then it turns, and what she's praying for is a cricket game.
Yes. And that I don't know. I mean, this may go over people's heads in the sense that people who don't actually speak Hindi, but the first words she uttered in that the first speaking part that we saw her in, so she's praying for the cricket, and she says "Teri Maki," and that's actually a cuss. It's almost saying it's saying mother, and then that you stop. Right. Yeah, so you say mother and then you stop. And so she stopped just at mother. And so your mother's, and then her mum's actually praying, which is with the flame, which is called Aarti. Yeah, so her mum turned around and said, "What do you mean?" And she said, "Your mother's Aarti, which is the flame, the holy flame." So she turned it around. But yeah, that was quite funny to us Indians. And can I tell you that Sara Ali Khan, I mean, the screen presence that she's got, I haven't seen that in a very long time in any newcomer, but I can tell you where I last saw it.
Where?
And it was her mother, Amrita Singh, when she made her debut with Sunny Deol in Betab. Wow. And she was exactly the same. She was very feisty, and she was very... She was always the man chaser, so she was given the nickname Mard, which means man, because she did a film with Amitabh Bachchan called Mard, which in Coffee with Karan,
They were
she
talking
said,
about.
I'm really embarrassed. What film of your mother's embarrasses you? And she said Mud, because her mother was there in a haystack kissing Amitabh Bachchan, and she said all her friends teased her about it. So Amrita Singh was known as a very sort of, not manly, but she was almost the man in the relationship, because she was always the go-getter. So yeah, and her mother had the same presence, funnily enough. So I thought, well, I know where she gets it from really now.
Yeah, yeah, and
And
it was just like she said that her mother was wild, and then
oh
Safe was
yes,
kind of trying to hedge that back, and he's
yeah.
like, well, yeah, she did do a few things, you
Well,
know.
well, let me tell you. I mean, again, we talked about this, but Sara Ali Khan comes from a huge pedigree of actors in her family. So her mother was actually a huge superstar in the 90s, late 80s, 90s. She was even bigger than Saif Ali Khan when they met. So she was already a big A-lister, and Saif was just a newcomer who had nothing really. And so they fell in love. She was a few years older than him. And they got married, and they had two wonderful kids, Sarah being the first one, and then they had the boy, her brother Ibrahim. And then, if I just quickly take you through to
Well,
some of the members of her family.
Yeah, and Safe and Coffee with Karan said he was quite young when he had her. He
Yeah,
was only like 23 or 24. That's pretty young.
24, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, he was very, in fact, so they'd been married for a couple of years before they actually had the first
Wow.
child, Sarah. So I think he got married very young. And as I said, Amrita Singh was already, she'd started work at 16, I think, and she'd already established herself as a top A grade actress in those days. So her mother was Amrita Singh. Her stepmom is Kareena Kapoor,
Right.
as we all
Yeah.
know.
Yep.
So, she comes from another pedigree family of Kapoors, which we'll talk about someday or soon. And then her grandmother is the beautiful and the legendary Sharmila Tagore
Yes.
from the
Yeah.
60s and 70s. And she was an absolute knockout actress. I mean, she's won the Indian equivalent of Oscars. Now, we will probably have these podcasts, and I won't say the Indian Oscars because they're actually known as the Filmfare
Right.
Awards,
Yep.
which were the oldest awards in India until every Tom, Dick, and Harry started handing out these statuettes for their
Yep.
channel or whatever. So those are known as the Indian Oscars, the Filmfare Awards. So I'll just refer to them as the Filmfare Awards. And she's won quite a few Filmfare Awards, and she made a huge, successful pairing with the first Indian male superstar called Rajesh Khanna,
Yeah.
who is Akshay Kumar's father-in-law. So people who know Akshay Kumar will know that that's his father-in-law. So he was the very first Indian superstar where girls were crazy. They were slitting their wrists and writing letters to him in blood.
Yeah.
So I know this was crazy. I mean, Indians, believe me, they worship their actors and treat them like gods. So we'll talk about that at some point
Yeah.
in length as well. But we're crazy for our actors, and so she made a huge successful pairing with Rajesh Khanna, and they had immense sort of popularity with the crowds and the audiences, and she got her awards mainly in some of the films that she did with him.
Yeah.
Just an interesting.
I noticed Sarah's, like, I felt like her jawline is very much like her grandmother's. That's what I was noticing. I mean, I don't know that she has the big huge eyes like Sharmila does, but she
Yeah.
definitely has a little bit of the look of her grandmother. So,
Well, I think for me, she looks very much like Amrita Singh. But then there are certain angles that I see her in, and I suddenly see Saif and his side of the family. But for me, the majority of the time, she is a spitting image of her mother. So just continuing on,
yeah, Sharmila, yeah.
Saif's sister is Soha Ali Khan, who was an actress, kind of semi-retired after she had the baby. But she was in Rang De Basanti
Oh, right,
as the
okay.
yeah, so she was the young girl who lost her fiance, the pilot.
Madhavan, yeah.
Madhavan's fiance, and her husband is an actor called Kunal Kemu, who actually started life off as a child actor and did lots of films as a child. But I think most people who are listening to us may know him from Go Go Gone or I think he was also in the Golmaal series with Ajay Devgan. And funny enough, he was in a film with Ajay Devgan as a child artist.
And then as an adult again?
Yeah, as an adult as well. So yeah, it kind of comes to a full circle, and we will talk about this as another podcast, possibly about the nepotism that goes on in Bollywood. That's a huge whole subject that we can talk about for ages.
I think Sarah Ali Khan, people could say that about her, but she just has it, and also I was amazed watching her on Coffee with Karan and just the presence that she had. She said she was nervous, but she sure didn't show it. I mean, it had to have helped to have her dad sitting next to her, but I loved the little looks that they would get, like the widening of the eyes when one would say something. We're like...
But did you notice...
when Saif said, I think the question was, would you rather be caught in an affair or have your phone hacked or something? And he's like, well, I'd rather have the fun. I guess I'd rather be caught. And his daughter's like, what?
She closed her ears. She said, I don't want to hear this. Yeah. I mean, I think I noticed that, and I think I mentioned it today in my reaction, whereby I said that she was just so confident. There was no airs or graces about her. She didn't have any politically correct answers. She just spoke eloquently.
She was asked to compare her two co-stars.
Yeah.
And immediately she's like, Ranveer's my favorite.
Yeah, exactly. She was honest. I mean, there was no filter as such, but then she didn't say anything horrible about anybody. But also, did you notice the kind of relationship that they have, father and daughter? It's almost like being friends, which is brilliant because obviously we know that he was very young when he fathered Sarah, and then of course he and his wife separated. So because they're so close in age, I suppose, and they kind of live apart, that they actually formed a friendship rather than a father-daughter relationship. So I think they get on so well together. And I was amazed to see that they all actually get on so well together from what they were describing. All the ex-spouse and the current spouse, and Karina doesn't want to be called mom by her.
Right.
So
well, we can totally believe that. I love the story about them going to Rome, and it sounded like she and her father were just loving going to the museums, and Karina's like, when are we going shopping?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll tell you what, Saif is an educated guy who takes interest in art and music and all things cultural because he hails from a royal family. He's royalty. He's a Nawab. So again, his father was a famous Indian cricketer, which his mother married. He was very famous in his own right, and he was a prince, if you like, of this place. So he's quite cultured, and he likes doing those things. And of course, Karina, being Karina, a little bit ditzy, she's only interested in her phone, shopping, and gossip and stuff like that. Bless her. So yeah.
Well, it was funny, and Sarah mentioned that one of the videos they showed that she's like, oh yeah, that's when I was at Columbia. Well, just if you don't know, Columbia is not a run-of-the-mill college. It's in New York, and it's not easy to get into. So she has to have the smarts. She has to have the goods to get into a college like that. So kudos to her. So she just came off so articulate, so poised, so... I mean, I'm sure it's Uncle Karan that she's known forever, but even so, the pressure of being on a show like that didn't seem to show. And we've seen
phase her.
And we've certainly seen other young starlets who, tripped up. Like, I remember Alia not remembering the prime minister or whatever.
Oh, yes.
We've certainly seen other young women be much more awkward, and I was just so impressed. Everything I was seeing of her, I'm more and more impressed by her, and I'm more and more looking forward to these two films. I don't know that much about Simba, other than Ranveer plays some sort of cop, but I don't know anything about the story.
Well, let me tell you about that.
Okay.
Let me tell you about that then. So basically, let me go back a little bit and give you a little bit of history with what's been going on with Kedarnath. And as you quite rightly said, I mean, I was a little bit skeptical after all the things that I'd heard about Kedarnath. But the more I see the teasers, the promos, I'm loving this now, and
Yeah.
I'm really excited about this project now to watch it. But this project has had problems from day one, where producers were going in and pulling out. Ekta Kapoor, who's one of the biggest producers in Bollywood, she first initiated this project, then she pulled out. Then another producer took over. Then they pulled out, and now they've got Ronnie Screwvala, who is actually a huge producer. His new company he was the head of UTV, and now he's set up his own company, RSVP,
Which
as
is
we saw the
doing a lot of
logo.
quality films.
Yeah,
When I see that
yeah,
RSVP, I'm like, okay, this is
yeah.
one to take notice of.
Well, he sold UTV, so he's made millions, and now he's set up his own sort of production again. So yeah, he took over, and then I think they ran into some sort of difficulties with the script, the finances again, and various other things. So when filming was halted, Sara Ali Khan thought, "Oh my God, there goes my debut," and so in popped Karan Johar and Rohit Shetty, and offered a Simba opposite Ranveer Singh. Now, Rohit Shetty, if our listeners don't know, is a huge sort of producer, director who makes blockbuster movies, which
Yeah.
are basically all about blowing up cars galore. It's almost like the Fast and Furious. So he's made the Golmaal series. He's made a film with Shah Rukh Khan, Chennai Express.
Yep.
He's made another film with Shah Rukh and Kajol, Dilwale. So, he's done lots and lots of films with Ajay Devgan because they're best buddies. And he directed his first film with Ajay. So, yeah, Rohit Shetty always has a blockbuster on his hands. So, of course, this is a huge deal for Sara to actually sign this film, and opposite Ranveer Singh,
Yeah.
who is actually now a top contender in Bollywood. So she signed this film and she started shooting for it. And lo and behold, suddenly a big hoopla broke out about what's going to be her first film. And of course, people are trying to kickstart Kedarnath again. And in stepped Saif to sort it all out. So he stepped in and sort of sorted out who needs to do what, who needs to finance what, because Sara really wanted to do Kedarnath as her first film. And so he stepped in, sorted it all out, sorted out the dates, compromised who was going to release their film first. Hence, we've now got these two films releasing back to back, almost
Yeah.
3 weeks apart. So we've
Yeah.
got Kedarnath coming up first, and then we've got Simba 3 weeks later, which coincides with Ranveer and Deepika getting married, coming back from their honeymoon, and then he will start promoting the film. So we'll
Right.
see the trailer sometime around December.
Yeah. I can't
So
wait for that.
yeah, me neither. And also the character that Ranveer plays is very similar to Ajay Devgan's character in Singham, because Rohit
Yeah.
Shetty directed that. So this is almost like a mini me version of Singham. And in fact, I think Ajay Devgan is either making a guest cameo or is in there for a short while as the original character Singham. So I think you will see sort of like me and mini me together kind of thing. So yeah, it's almost like the similar thing. So I can't wait for the trailer because it just looks outrageous anyway.
Yeah.
So and expect those
And
wonderful sort
the
of
big
yeah,
mustache.
mustache exactly, and plenty of cars exploding everywhere.
Yeah.
Uh, but then this film Kedarnath has also been embroiled in controversies post teaser release and trailer release. So there are three issues here. First of all, people are sort of objecting. Some religious groups had started to object because it's a love story set between a Muslim boy and a Hindu girl in a place of great importance to the Hindu religion, where people go for pilgrimage. So they kind of sort of said basically their sentiments are being hurt. But then you've got to get these groups in India
Yeah.
anyway now.
Yeah.
And look, my answer to that is look what happened with Padmavat. There was all this hoo-ha about, oh my God, yeah, they're upsetting our sentiments. And then suddenly the film was released. Everybody saw the film and there was nothing objectionable about it. And it went on to become a huge blockbuster.
Right.
And
Right.
then the second problem with this film that people have sort of said is that they're disrespecting the memory of the thousands of people who lost their lives in the actual flood. Well, I'd like to stress to all the people that this is actually a fictional love story set against a real backdrop of the floods that happened a few years back in Kedarnath. And my response to that to people is that actually it's exactly the same as Titanic, whereby it's a
Right.
fictional love story set against a real backdrop of a real event. And people in India absolutely love Titanic. Nobody's ever objected to that. So it's the same scenario.
Right.
And then the third most outrageous controversy is, and I don't know if you got this in the trailer because you didn't have subtitles, but her father is sort of shown objecting to Sarah marrying Sushant or going
Right.
out with him or whatever. And he said, this relationship is not possible. You know, it doesn't matter, even if destruction comes. And she utters the words,
Oh,
she says, then I will pray day and night for that destruction to come. And lo and behold, we get the floods. So people
okay.
have on Twitter have been going crazy with memes and also seriously blaming Sarah for the actual floods occurring. I said, well, hang on a minute. She wasn't even there at the time, and she didn't utter those words then. She's only uttered them now. So,
I had a feeling, even without the subtitles, I had a
yeah,
feeling either the father said something like that or she said
yeah,
something back to him,
yeah,
something
yeah,
like that. Because
yeah,
even without the words, like you could just tell from the way that they were arguing, and then
yeah,
immediately they went into some of the destruction. I'm like, okay, somebody said, then let the gods rain down on my heads, or whatever.
yeah, yeah. So that's the context. So this film has had so many problems. I mean, they were actually saying that this film might get banned. So I've got fingers crossed, legs crossed, and eyes crossed for
Yeah.
this film to actually come out. Because now, the more and more I see, as I said, the more excited I'm becoming. Because I did think, well, if they've run out of money, let's just hope that they don't, start skimping on the special effects, because the main thing is the floods, and I think it looked really good in the teaser and the trailer,
I agree.
and it's going to look terrible if they just spent half-hearted against that CGI. But then also, I hope that it's not a 5-minute wonder in the film, that it actually the flood plays a part for at least half an hour of the film at the end. And it's almost like Titanic, where they're in the water for half an hour. So the actual flood will probably sort of take 2 minutes or whatever, but the rest of the action centers around them trying to get out of it. Do you want to know my theory of what I think the story might be? I mean,
Okay,
I don't
sure.
know. I don't know what it is, but I have a funny feeling that they actually are recreating Titanic here. So this film is never going to have a happy ending. I know that, right?
Yeah.
Um, and so from what I gathered from the trailer, was there's a scene where Sarah is actually decked out as a bride, and she's taking the ritual sort of pharaohs, which is the circles around the fire,
Yeah. Yep.
uh, and she's crying. So obviously she's not happy because she's getting married to somebody apart from Sushant Singh Rajput.
Oh.
So I think she gets married, and then the floods arrive, because you see the water coming into her feet, which is there. Then her feet have got the henna
Right.
on it.
Right. Right.
So that's from the weddings, just shortly after, I think. And so I think what happens is that the floods come, and then he saves her and possibly her husband, and he probably ends up dying like Jack did for Rose, or the husband dies, and because it's just the wedding night, that she's still unspoiled, and then they live happily ever after. So it could go either way, but
It could go either way.
but I'm going with the first theory.
Well, I also thought there was a significance in the teaser. We saw Sushant grabbing through the water for
Yeah,
the um,
the
bull or
holy
cow
cow, the
statue.
bull. Yeah,
And then that had prominence in the trailer. We saw a procession with that same statue, and then I was sort of wondering, is the water sweeping them away, and he grabs onto the
yes,
horns, and that maybe is what saves them. Do you know what I'm saying?
yes,
But he was underwater, so
yes.
maybe you're right. Maybe he drowns. I don't know, but
No, no, no. I think he'll probably drown sort of after the floods have subsided, and it's almost like Jack freezing to
yeah.
death kind of thing. But that statue is actually the holy cow is sort of cemented into the entrance of every kind of temple where Lord Shankar's temple. So that's the first thing that you see, and it's cemented in. So that stayed still. It actually stayed
Ah,
still.
okay.
And so when it's underwater, he finds the horn of that cow, and he grabs hold of it so it doesn't move at all.
Right.
So that's the
Okay.
significance of that cow. So when you go into a temple with Lord Shankar, that's the first thing you'll see. You'll touch the horns of the cow, and then you'll go into the temple afterwards.
Okay. See, I'm learning so many things right here.
Melody, by the time we're finished, right, you'll be speaking Hindi better than me.
I don't think so. I don't think so. But this is the kind of thing like we saw it and I thought it was a procession, but instead it must have been a shot from just inside the doorway of the temple looking out to all
Yeah,
the worshipers coming in. That must have been that shot. But then that makes sense. Is that like you
yeah,
said, that was the fixed point that didn't
yeah.
move when the waters started rushing through. I mean, I couldn't think of another disaster film really in Indian cinema. And so this is going to be, I mean, it's not unusual in Hollywood, but I think it's kind of unusual in Indian cinema. And I don't know. So I'm sort of excited. It's a little bit, like you say, it's sort of like Titanic. It's a love story set against some big, um, cataclysm. And so I'm excited to see it. And to me, the VFX, the visual effects looked good. I mean, I'm watching it
Mm,
just on my laptop. We'll see how it looks on the big screen, but so far I thought it looked really good. So maybe that was part of the
mm,
delay is getting the financing and the money
yeah,
to get all of that post production
yeah.
finished. But so far I'm excited about it.
Well, that was my other skepticism about this film because there are two things which I find that Bollywood always kind of it doesn't do well in Bollywood. One, which is a sort of inter-religious relationship, which i.e. Between a relationship between different faiths. So we've got a Muslim boy and a Hindu girl. So those films don't tend to do too well because it kind of splits the audience quite a bit.
Mm,
And we have had some disaster movies in the past, and they have been a disaster in the sense that they don't do particularly well. So the two that come to my mind immediately from my sort of childhood was the first one is The Burning Train, which had a huge multi-star cast of Dharmendra, Hema Malini, Rishi Kapoor's wife Nitu Singh, Parveen Babi, Vinod Khanna, and it was about a train that catches fire and it has no brakes and it's just on a collision course
wow.
with lots of passengers. So yeah, that I mean, I quite like that film actually, but in that day and age, I think it was made in the late 80s. So obviously, Bollywood didn't have that kind of technology, but they still did well. I think it was still an entertaining film. And the other huge star cast, again, they have to have a huge star cast with these disaster movies, was a Yash Raj film with Amitabh Bachchan, Shashi Kapoor, Shatrughan Sinha, and Parveen Babi, and it was called Kala Patthar, which was basically means coal. So that it was a coal
Oh,
mine,
okay.
and it was a disaster where people get trapped underneath the coal mine. So I quite like that film as well. But unfortunately, in that day and age, I remember seeing it, and it was just so dark to see the whole cinema. I mean, it wasn't lit properly,
Mm,
the scenery. So yeah, I think those kind of films don't do too well. And to combine the two genres together, I thought, oh no, they're heading for a huge disaster here. But having seen the promos and the teasers and the songs, I think that was the other thing I said to myself. I said, if the songs are good, then the film will do exceptionally well. And lo and behold, we've had three songs, and I've liked all three of them so far. They're
yeah.
very sort of they're hummable, they're memorable, and so I thought, yeah, they're absolutely beautiful. So I think I'm now keeping my fingers crossed that it does well.
So for me, I've only seen two of the songs, and so beside say the Q one again, the Unbeliever one was how do you say that
Uh,
word again?
Kafirana. So
Kafirana.
there's an Arabic word called kafir,
Okay.
yeah, which means unbeliever as well. So
Okay.
it's kafir ana. So like kafir and ana, not
So
coffee and ana.
but then the Sweetheart movie, what stood out
The
for
song, yeah,
me is Sushant doing this whole dance number because
right.
when is the last time we've seen that? It's been a while.
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you when. I actually mentioned that in my reaction. The last time we saw him doing a great dance number, which was so popular, was in that movie that was a huge disaster for him, which was the last one, Raptor, and it was that Main Tera Boyfriend with
Yes.
Kriti Sanon, and that was a huge hit. And his dancing skills are really good. I mean, they're really honed in, but
Yeah.
people don't sort of talk about him in the same breath as Hrithik Roshan or Tiger Shroff or Shahid Kapoor. And I said this in my reaction that he actually appeared in a dance reality show back in the day, just after he was doing television, I think, and he was with his then girlfriend Ankita Lokande, and they came on as a couple because this show was all about couples.
Okay.
So he learned dancing on there, and he actually won. And funny enough, another interesting side fact is Ankita Lokande is now making a big cinema debut with Kangana Ranaut in Manikarnika,
Oh,
which
really?
is out soon. Yeah, so she's playing the second lead female in that film. So that's Sushant's ex-girlfriend, although most believe that they were actually married. So I don't know how much truth there
Oh.
is to that. But yeah, she was beautiful as well. I mean, she was exceptionally beautiful, still is. But yeah, so
Yeah, it was
I'm
just
full of this.
such a treat, though, to see Sushant just leap into this joyful dance number. And I do remember the Rapta, but that I sort of remember it was just I don't remember him really like being in a party scene, and maybe I'm misremembering, but this was seemed to me different. That it was like a party scene, and there was all these dancers behind him, and he was just so joyful in singing
Yeah,
this sweetheart song. And I'm like, oh, I thought, okay, it can't get better than this. And then the other song was so
oh,
beautiful.
wasn't it just?
Yeah, I agree
I
with
mean,
you. The
you
music can really make it.
and
So,
also, I think then when I saw the scenery that accompanied that, I mean, I just got blown away because it lifted the song. It
yeah.
just fit in perfectly with that tone and the beauty as well. But you are misremembering about Raptor because it was a huge number where
Okay, I
they had
must
lots of
remember, yeah.
background. They had lots of background dancers, and he was in fact shirtless. So
Oh,
I'm surprised.
how can I
I'm
forget
surprised.
that?
Exactly. I'm surprised you forgot that. So yeah,
I
uh,
guess I'm remembering I guess I was remembering one where he kept like meeting her at the candy shop or whatever. There was another really
oh
cute
yes,
song that,
yeah.
yeah, but yeah, I did like parts of Rabta. I didn't really like the flashback part, but the
No, that
modern
was the
day,
worst part. Yeah.
yeah, and Rajkumar Rao and all that makeup, like what?
Mm,
Crazy. But yeah, it was sort of a remake of Magadira, which is a Rajamouli Telugu film. Similar kind of thing where it's a reincarnation, and I do like Jim Sarb too. Having him play an
yeah.
evil character, that I was all about that. But it just didn't. It was one of those they tried for a hit and it was a miss. You know, it just not everything worked. But there were parts that I really did like, and he's
Yeah.
adorable. So, yeah, you can imagine me in Chicago watching him play a great cricket star. I'm like, oh, okay, you know, him as
Yeah.
Tony Stark. I watched it, but it wasn't one that I was like couldn't wait to see. You know, it was yeah, okay,
But can I just recommend a film of his that
okay.
you have, if you haven't seen, then you must watch, is a Yash Raj film, which was called Detective Boimkesh Bakshi.
Oh yeah, he's gorgeous in that. Oh yeah.
Have you seen that? Have you seen
Yes,
it?
I saw it in the theater.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like a noir film, isn't it? It's a classic. And I mean, the film did okay. It didn't do exceptionally well, but I think it's a little
I
bit
think yeah, it was a little bit
indie.
different for him, and I thought he really pulled it off. He was one of the best
Yeah.
things about, and I didn't realize when I was first watching it that it was almost like the Indian Sherlock Holmes. That there's been
Yes.
many films, many TV series about this character. That it's a famous
Yes.
character. But yeah, I liked that one. It just and it was very different for him. I thought he did a good job. So, but I'm excited to see him in another love story. I just have to say. So,
Well, I think it's kind of it's kind of waiting for him because he had that one horrible mistake, Raptor, and as you said, I think they should have not done the flashback at all because that was the thing that let it down. But you know, if they'd carried on with the present day, they would have been fine, I think. Uh, and I found it completely unbelievable that she's been seeing somebody for ages, Jim Sarb's character in the old days, in the flashback, and then suddenly she meets this guy one day and she's in love with him and she's reincarnated with him because, you know, apparently he's a soulmate. But in fact, it was Jim Sarb who was a soulmate because she'd been in love with him for years. So I just found it completely unbelievable. But anyway, I think he deserves the kind of success that was kind of, he was on the right track, and he was one of the leading sort of new men in Bollywood to emerge, because we've got the likes of Rajkumar Rao,
Yeah.
Ayushmann Khurrana, who's having a wonderful year so
Yes, he
far.
is. Yeah.
And then we've got Ranveer. So he was like the fifth one that, was part of that pack, I think. And he's kind of slowly sort of fell back a little bit. But I'm hoping that this film will actually pick up and push his stock up a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a talented, and he's quite the looker too. So I wished him only success with this one, and I hope it's good. I mean, to be honest, before we saw the teaser and everything, I was thinking, oi, he's gonna have to be in a film with a debut young nepotism starlet. Like he's
Yeah.
gonna have to carry the whole film, and she'll be awful. And then now I'm like, okay, they're more equals. Even if this is her
Yeah.
debut, I think she's going to be able to match up with him. So, and talent wise, I mean, I think they're both good. We didn't see a lot of her dancing, but she did a little bit. She was fine, Okay.
Well, I was actually surprised that they didn't have her dancing more, because I've seen her videos of dancing at Sonam Kapoor's wedding.
Oh, really?
And any parties, and she does a solo on stage. So at Sonam Kapoor's pre-marriage party, everyone took it in turns to do a little skit, a dance, and she was dancing away. She loves dancing, as you could see from the home videos that were shown on Koffee with Karan. So I think she's a good dancer, but they just didn't have enough of her doing it in the trailers. Maybe she'll have some other songs in there. I'm not sure.
Don't. Well, also, if they're showing us a song, they're not probably showing us the entire thing. They're showing us 2 minutes of it. So there could be a whole nother verse that she kind of leads the dancing, and we're just not seeing that yet. So, I mean, because for an audience right now, the selling point would be more seeing Sushant, is a more known face doing it, I would think. So, I don't know. Well, we'll see. We'll see. But it was exciting to see her on Coffee with Karan. And it was interesting because when I'm watching it on Hotstar. We finally got Hotstar in the U.S. A subscription this year. And the biggest thing for me was I get to watch Coffee with Karan, like on time, and not look for some bootleg video somewhere. And they had the promos at the end for the next one, and it's Janvi with Arjun, and I don't know what.
Yes.
And so I was just like, what a contrast.
Well,
not that Janvi isn't okay, but she just doesn't exude that same confidence that Sarah did.
Well, let me tell you, let me give you some thoughts on that as well then, because they are good friends. First and foremost, there is no animosity. When Sridevi died, Sarah was the first one there to console her. She even took food in for Janvi as well into her house. So they are good friends, and they're professional rivals now, obviously.
Right.
And I felt when Janvi made her debut that she was just... I find her not an exciting actress as such, because I find her too polished and too groomed, because she was groomed for this. She's not natural like Sarah, for example, in her acting style. So she was so groomed from a young age that there's no spontaneity. There's no, it's all, it's not even method acting for her.
It's just all packaged.
It's all packaged, I think. So, I said this in my reaction today, that when the trailer was launched for Kedarnath, some reporter asked Sarah saying, so do you think you'll get the Best Newcomer award this year at the film fair or any awards? And or will it be Janvi Kapoor, because she's had a debut as well this year, because the award season starts in December, so it'll be just after Kedarnath is released. So, of course, she just perked up and said, well, I'd like to win it, yes, which was quite honest and quite nice, refreshing to see. And I'm firmly in Team Sarah, believe me, even before I've seen the film, So I said in my reaction today, I said, well, I think Sarah probably deserves it, because from what I saw in the trailer and the teaser and the song, I can see she's done a really good job, as opposed to I've seen Janvi do the whole thing in Dhadak. So I would give it to her. But if they go politically correct, then they'll split the award between the two, because they're two huge stars, kids. So they'll split the award, or they'll just give it to Janvi because Sridevi died earlier this year. So I said,
Yeah.
I hope it's not the case. I hope it's either Sarah gets it or they split the award, one of the two. But
Well,
I'm really
if
rooting for
Sarah
her.
doesn't win this, I have a feeling she's going to have some other awards down the road. I have a
Yeah.
feeling she will. She's going to
Well,
follow in
definitely.
her, in her family's footsteps.
Well, I think we've got to see the start of a superstar being born, because I think sometimes you just know, when you see that star quality,
Yeah.
you just know it that this person's going to be in the race for a long time. So I think she is a long-term stayer, and I think she will do well. And she will get better, obviously, because this is her first film, second film, but she already looks as if she's a seasoned actor,
Yeah.
already. And I think it's because the kind of, I think it's a mother's influence, really. And she wasn't groomed because, let's face it, because she had all those problems and being
That's
overweight,
true.
she didn't actually have that kind of grooming, the beauty sort of regime that Janvi had, or, the classes that you needed to go to, because she actually went off to Columbia and she studied in New York for a while. So, yeah, she's kind of, I think she's just a natural. A
Yeah.
natural. That's all I can say.
Yeah. I mean, it was interesting how on Coffee with Karan asked Saif, "Did you always think that your daughter would do this?" And he talked about her being a little girl and
Hmm.
going on one of those tour shows and how
In
her
Chicago. Sorry, can I remind you?
it
It
was
was
in
in Chicago.
Chicago.
Yes, yes, I heard that and I thought of you and I said, oh, I wonder if Melanie went and saw that concert, because he said it was in Chicago.
Well, I think it would
Sorry.
have been a further back because I've only been for four years now. But I have any big show that's come through Chicago, I
Yeah.
have seen. I saw Salman Khan, I saw Shah Rukh Khan, I saw the Dream Team that Karan brought through. I saw
Yes.
Arjit Singh in concert in Chicago. So, but that was a little bit before my obsession. But it was interesting hearing him talking about her peeking through the curtain to watch Aishwarya perform, and just how
Mm,
her just she was just he could just see that this is what she wanted to do. She was just so
mm.
taken with watching Aishwarya perform, and like that's what she wanted to do. But as you said, she was overweight and whatever, and maybe they just didn't think it was in the cards for her for a long time,
Mm.
and it's left her more natural now. Although I kind of feel like even if she had grooming in classes, that personality I think would just bubble
Yeah.
through anyway, because she has
Oh,
it.
no, make no mistake. I mean, obviously, she has had some grooming, because obviously, to get to this stage where she is now, she's had to have some kind of training or a beauty regime to get into shape. But I think, her personality was set well before
Yeah.
all the grooming. So I don't think, as you said, you can change that too
But
much.
it,
It's already inbred.
and I like to see how she was teasing her father about him going to the gym. I guess, there was a
Yeah.
certain period of time where he was talking about, well, I just needed to lose the weight.
But did you see how she was so embarrassed when her dad kept making all these comments? I mean, the one about
About the boys, like, does he have any money?
no, no, exactly, and also the fact that he checks out Karina going to the gym
Oh,
beforehand
I
and
know. That
coming
was,
back.
she was
Yeah,
just
and
like,
then
I
of
don't want
course,
to hear
would you rather get caught cheating or lose your phone? And she's like, oh. Dad, don't say those things. So he's trying to just get rid of her to the first highest bidder. So she said she'd actually like to marry Ranbir Kapoor and date Kartik Aryan.
Yeah.
And so Dad said, well, is Kartik rich? And she said, what? Don't say that. He said, if he's got enough money, you're sold. It sounds so bad in so many ways, but you can see the kind of relationship that
Yeah.
they have, father and daughter. It's a jovial one,
Yeah.
and they're comfortable with each
Yeah.
other. So I think that's quite good.
It's nice, and it was interesting, Janvi and Arjun in the next one, because I think they were
Yeah.
estranged for a long time, and then
Oh, very.
Sridevi's death, Arjun really stepped up
Yeah.
for the family. He really stepped up for his sisters, and I was happy to see that they were going to be on together, and they seemed to. I mean, I'm a fan of Arjun. He's not had the greatest films lately,
No.
but the fact that he's dating an older woman,
Well, there you go. Because did you see the teaser at the end? They asked if Ishan was Janvi's boyfriend,
right?
and she said, no, he's not. And Arjun said, well, he's always hanging around you. And then Karan asked Arjun, funny, I should say Karan and Arjun because that was a huge
Right,
SRK and
right.
Salman Khan film. So Karan Arjun, yeah. But he asked Arjun, he said, so who are you dating at the
Right.
moment? And Janvi perked up and said, yes, we've never talked about this. Who are you dating? And I think for our viewers and listeners, we should clear up that it may be rumor, but it's kind of almost guaranteed that he's actually dating Salman Khan's ex sister-in-law, Malaika Arora.
Well, I think
Um,
recently in the last few months, they've come out and publicly been holding
yeah,
hands at the
yeah,
airport or whatever. So I
hmm
think, they've kind of made a statement. And that's since the
yeah,
wedding season, some of these weddings that are coming up, it'll be interesting. Um, I think I remember there was one where Arjun was there with his sisters and kind of,
mm,
holding off the paparazzi.
yeah.
And maybe it was Sonam's wedding or something. And then now, so we'll see, who does Arjun show up with?
Yes,
Do
exactly.
they,
I was half expecting him to go to Ranveer Singh's wedding because they are thick as thieves, those two, they're buddies. But I think if he calls Arjun, then he'd have to invite a few other stars from
yeah,
Bollywood. So
back from
unfortunately, they didn't do
Gunday
that.
when they were in that movie.
No, they kind of know each other from before that. But yeah, they starred in Gunday together with Priyanka Chopra. This is all,
Yeah,
again, we're mentioning names that are all related to each other because Priyanka is getting married to Nick in the next
Nick
month.
Jonas. Yeah,
Yeah, but going back to Arjun, I felt that he was going to be invited, but he wasn't. And did you see the photos of Deepika and Ranveer coming back to Bombay? And the paparazzi was all around them. They weren't pushing or shoving, but Ranveer, he protected Deepika by putting his arms around her and just
yeah,
guiding her through the crowd. And did you see that the excitement on the couple's face? They looked so happy. They were smiling so much, from ear to ear. So I felt like, yeah, this is a happy ending to a true story, or a happy beginning to a
yeah.
lovely love story. So I was quite glad to see that. Now we've just got to wait for Priyanka and Nick to tie the knot, and then here's some gossip and some news for you.
Okay.
So it's kind of being thrown about at the moment that after these two weddings are over, that there's an A-list actress who got married earlier this year. See if you can guess who it is. Who got married earlier this year and is just waiting to announce that she's pregnant because after these two weddings are over and she's done promoting her film that's just coming out next month, that she'll announce that she's pregnant and take a kind of a leave of absence for a little while to concentrate on family. Can you guess who that is?
Okay, who got married? So we had Sonam. Is it? But
Mm-hmm.
Sonam's movie is coming out in February, so I don't think it's Sonam.
No.
Anushka?
Yep.
Oh my.
Yep. So Anushka is busy promoting Zero, and she's just waiting for these two big weddings to sort of pass before she announces. So after she's done the promotions of Zero, then rumors are rife that she's actually pregnant, and she will announce it after the film's released. So yeah.
Yeah, she's somebody
So you
I
heard it here
really.
first
All right, we heard it here. We heard it here.
on
I
Melanie's channel.
She is someone that I really admire. I love how she has made her own production company so that then
Yeah.
she could make the kind of films that she wanted to make. Like NH10, I'm not sure I can ever watch again, but I
Yeah.
really admired her for making a film like that where she was so strong. I mean, that was this thriller where the boyfriend, her fiance, was the normal kind of female kind of part where he was kind of cowering
Yeah.
and needed to be rescued, and
Mm.
she was the more powerful, and then the revenge. Yeah, I just love that. And then oh, what was that one? The ghost movie that she did. I think
Yeah.
I think
Filori.
yeah,
Filori. So she
I
did
think she
the ghost
produced
one.
that one too. I think with
Yeah.
her company. So I just really I really
And
admire
then
her.
and then there was the third one, which was Puri, the ghost one, which was scary, which came out earlier this year.
That
So
one
she did that
that
as
one
well.
I didn't catch. Did you catch that one?
No,
Yeah.
no, I didn't, unfortunately. Sometimes I sort of wait for these films to come on cable or DVD or whatever,
Yeah.
because I mean, unless it's something huge that I have to go and see before anybody spoils it for me, or if I've got enough of the information from the trailer, then I think, okay, I can wait for this. But yeah, horror's not my thing, but
It's not
I'll
my thing
wait for it.
either. So that wasn't one
Yeah.
that I was leaping to see, but it's just nice. You know, she's getting to do more offbeat things because she's making it happen with her
She's in that
production company.
position. Yeah,
You know,
she's in that
which is
position.
awesome.
And I mean, look at the last film she did, Sui Daga, where she's completely de-glamorized and she played that role. So she's taking bold chances and she's succeeding in them. And
Yeah,
then
she
now
became
she's
the
doing,
meme with the.
yes, no, the crying face. Yeah. So, and then now she's in Zero, she's playing somebody with cerebral palsy.
Yeah.
So, again, she's taking a challenging role, where, I think she's really developing as an actress, as a producer. So I remember that she was plucked out of obscurity for Rab De Banadi Jodi because they did a whole countrywide search to find that perfect actress against Shah Rukh Khan.
Oh, I didn't know that
And
they did that. Wow.
yeah. No, there was a nationwide search, and initially it was supposed to be Sonam Kapoor, because
Oh.
she'd just done Savaria, and they thought this would be her second film. So everybody kept saying, and Sonam was screen tested for it, I think, but they did a countrywide search where they asked for applications from everybody, and there was a huge sort of press thing about it, saying, we're searching for a Punjabi girl. And somehow she came forward. I don't know. I mean, I think she had some kind of acting in a background somewhere, but she came forward. She wasn't very well known, and she came forward and she screen tested quite a few times, and then eventually she got the role. And then, of course, her second, she was tied to a 3-film deal with Yash Raj, and her second and third films were, well, the second film was actually with
Ranveer was that?
Ranveer Singh,
Yeah,
Ranveer Singh,
Ban Baja
Ban
Baja.
Bajar Barat, which is where their love story started. And then the third film she did was also a very big hit for Yash Raj, and it was opposite Shahid Kapoor, called Sharif. I think it was called Sharif, but no, Badmash Company. Badmash Company,
I don't think I've
and
seen that one.
it was like Ocean's 11. It was really
Yeah.
good. It was a con movie, and it was a really good story. So she did her 3 films, and then of course they kept taking her back anywhere, and she sort of ventured out of Yash Raj stables. And I think the first one she made was Patiala House with Akshay Kumar, which didn't do too well, about the cricket star. And then, she's just never looked back because
Yeah.
having a big start with SRK was just enough for anybody, even Deepika and anybody who stars opposite SRK goes on to bigger and better things.
Well, and he gives the ladies top billing. That's his rule.
Well, he has. I'm sorry, he has to because they're all taller than him. So I don't know if he's playing his real height in Zero, by the way.
All right.
Sorry,
Sonny
that's just
knows
my
who's
joke.
my love. He knows where to twist the knife.
Sorry, I dropped something here. Hang on. Did I forget to tell you that I've actually met him? SRK, I've met
All
him.
right. You did.
No, did I not tell you that? Oh,
Okay,
dear. I
hold
dropped a
on.
name. Let me just pick it up. I've dropped
Okay.
a name here. Yeah. So yeah, Shah Rukh Khan. I met him because I live in the UK. We get to see. Well, I used to live in London. I've kind of moved out of London, but I still go there. But it was an everyday occurrence that I would just walk down the street and I would either bump into any star in London. It's like New York where you bump into stars galore. And we get a lot of Indian stars coming over to England for their holidays because having lived in such a hot country, they come here for a little bit of cooling down, and
Yeah.
they love the shopping. They love the, just they get to walk around in public. I mean, people do recognize them, but they don't get mobbed as they would in India. So, there they couldn't even step out without any security or some kind of control. Whereas here they can actually walk around. And some of these people actually have a home in London. So SRK actually has a house in London,
Yeah.
as does Sonam Kapoor now as well, and a couple of other people. So he was appearing, and they do a lot of shootings for films in London.
Yeah.
Everywhere, because for some reason London is the place. If they want a foreign location, that's where they'll come.
Yeah.
So they'll do it. And so I think once I was actually sort of uh, he lives somewhere near Regent's Park, I think. So this is where his house is, and he was out jogging in the park, and
Wow.
a few people have met him that way. So yeah, I think it was sometime in the afternoon, and I happened to be sort of like there with some friends, and we suddenly spotted him, and he was just gently jogging, but then he stopped. With his headphones and things like that. So we stopped him and we said hello and how are you? Very politely. He politely answered us back. But sorry, I'm going to ruin your day even more now, because that was not the only time I met him. because no, there's an Asian event that happens once a year in the center of UK, which is called Mega Mela, which is celebrating the Harvest Festival for the Punjabis. And
Okay.
we have this sort of thing called Mega Mela, where people sort of come. It's held in the center of the country, and it's a huge venue. And so you have lots of things like little stalls of bridal wear and Indian sort of accessories and this, that, and the other, jewelry. So people come and do their wares, display their wares and sell them. And they also have some sort of Bollywood stars coming there. They have entertainment, they have food, all sorts of things. So one year he actually came there, and literally he was about 10 feet away from me on stage. So we could see him. And in fact, my cousin was actually one of the people sort of looking after him on the stage, because he was almost like looking after the guests, the famous stars. So he was actually stood next to him and getting him his little bottles of water and what have you. So I'll ask him if he's got that bottle, that if he saved it, so I can give it to you. So yeah, London is one of those places where I just keep bumping into all these people. So I've got lots of stories. I won't bore you with them now, but I could name drop all day long and say, oh, I've met so and so, and I've met so and so. But yeah, I just happen to be in the right place at the right time. That's all.
All right. So jealous, Sonny. Well,
Oh,
this was a really fun conversation. We're definitely going to be doing this many more times, and you need to
absolutely.
check out Sonny's Starlight, his channel, which I will have the link below. He just has so much insight and so much knowledge about Bollywood. You need to check out his trailer reactions and his film reviews. And he did, after Thugs of Hindustan, he did like audience reactions like we've seen in India, but he did that at the theater close to him. And it was really insightful and interesting hearing what the different people had to say. So I know you're going to continue doing that. And I really enjoyed
Hmm.
hearing all the different audience reactions to that. So something you need to check out. Just
We
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 could
can talk for hours
we could
on
talk
this,
for hours.
but we'll do this on a regular basis, I
Yeah,
think.
I think
So
we have to,
well,
because
we'll see.
I learned so much from you. You have so much insight,
And ditto.
and I'm so glad that you have your channel now, because you need to share all these talents with the world. So thank
Oh,
you.
thank you.
I,
And I will say that to any of my subscribers, please go out and check out Melanie's channel, because she's been amazing, not only with Bollywood but also South Indian films.
yeah,
And
and if
also,
you haven't subscribed to Sunny's channel, you need to do that right now. Press that
yeah,
button right now. Like this
thank you,
video, share it, and subscribe to Sunny's Starlight.
thank you very much.